Dear teacher trainees, you are welcome back to my class. I am standing here to introduce before you a very interesting lesson entitled Concept and Approaches of Lesson Planning. Your attention is hereby drawn to help you able to learn the basic concept and approaches of lesson planning. To begin with, let me tell you what lesson planning is meant for. It is a title given to a statement of the achievements and the specific means to be realized, which consists of learning achievements or learning outcomes in terms of instructional objectives to be realized. It is a plan of action which the teacher and the students will do during the course of teaching that particular lesson. It is fundamental to effective teaching. In a sense, teacher can make his or her teaching effective only through effective planning of lessons. It is the teacher's mental and the emotional visualization of the classroom experiences. Yes, it is after all a planned framework of the desired classroom experiences and the environment. And finally, it is the heart of effective teaching, the most important factor of the effective teaching. Since the main duty of a teacher is teaching, it is basic for every teacher to make his or her teaching effective. You may have a working knowledge of the subject you are teaching, but making the entire process of teaching effectively is another thing. You have to have pedagogical knowledge besides content knowledge. In fact, every teacher is supposed to follow certain principles at the time of planning lesson. Am I right? Here, principle simply refers to certain rules and the regulations to be followed in lesson plan. You see, taking into consideration the changing needs of the larger society and the needs of individual learner in terms of interests, attitude, aptitude, likes, dislikes, states, habits, and the problems. There must be flexibility in planning lessons. And again, to avoid inconveniences and to deliver the lesson smoothly and effectively, planning of lessons should be done well in advance. Third, the arrangement of identification data as well as instructional objectives, teaching methods, teaching aids, and activities should be done in a systematic and logical way. To make the teaching and the learning process interesting and effective, provision must be made for the use of various teaching aids and uh, there must be scope for varied activities so that the entire teaching and the learning process becomes uh, lively and living. Taking into consideration the time period available in a class, planning of lessons should be done accordingly and therefore it should not be too long. Secondly, use of traditional blackboard or modern whiteboard from time to time during the course of instruction is highly recommended. A definition, a word meaning, a point of similarity or differences, a type, cause or effect, or a board diagram can be drawn, can be written to help students able to learn things systematically. But too much use of board should be avoided. Again, uh, at the end of installation, learning achievements of students should be assessed with greater focus on knowledge application. Hence, ample opportunity must be provided to the students for practical use of the knowledge. Then again, presentation of learning should be made in such a way that it meets the psychological needs of learners in the class. And the side-by-side equal opportunity must be given to all the students so that all of them participate effectively in the teaching learning process. So now let me tell you something about the importance of lesson planning. Well, friends, advanced planning of lesson is important for various reasons. First, once the lesson is planned properly, it is very much possible to achieve goals and objectives of teaching. Secondly, Uh, proper planning of lesson makes the teaching meaningful, thoroughness, and effective. Third, planning of lesson makes prevent wastage of time and the labor of the teacher. And the due focus is given on important points during the stipulated time period allotted to the teacher. Fourth, fear of the teaching is removed through planning of lesson and thereby create self-confidence on part of the teacher. Uh, Fifth, systematic planning of lesson makes evaluation of students' achievement possible. Six, since uh, appropriate teaching aids are identified and listed in the process of lesson planning. The teacher is able to use the same properly. Seventh, uh, chances of repetition of points and the forgetfulness of the vital points can be minimized through planning of lessons. And finally, through proper execution of already planned lessons in terms of teaching in classroom situation, there is much possibility to check whether the curriculum is systematically planned or not. Normally, lesson planning is done at three different levels: the yearly or semester plan, the unit plan, and the daily lesson plan. Yes, yearly plan or semester plan is nothing but planning of instruction of a subject uh, for academic year or course or semester. The planning consists of content of course, teaching objectives, and the total periods required to the score. Well, teacher tradies, let me explain how yearly plan or semester plan is made with special reference to social sciences for class 10 on the Central Board of Secondary Education, New Delhi. So look at this table that shows the distribution of class periods among the five major components of social sciences, which include India and the contemporary world too, contemporary India too, democratic politics too, understanding economic development and the disaster management, as well as further redistribution of class periods among the four different types of instructional objectives, which include knowledge, skill, knowledge application, understanding, or comprehension objective. So if a total of 190 class periods are made available for all the major components of social sciences, we can make an equal distribution of class periods among history, geography, political science, and economics in the tune of 45 periods, right? So okay, it gives a total figure of 180, right? And the remaining 10 classes, so these remaining 10 classes, 10 periods can be arranged for disaster management, uh, which is a non-credit course of smaller contents. So A is shown in this table. Component-wise distribution of periods comes to 45, 45, 45, 45, and 10 respectively. So distribution of periods to objectives again comes to 59, 13, 46, and 72, respectively, which constitute approximately some 31%, 7%, 24%, as well as 38% of all the class periods assigned. So now let me tell you something about unit plan. A teaching unit is a comprehensive instructional plan specifying the what, how, and when of teaching a big idea. It is a purposeful learning experience focused upon the behavior of the learner. It is, after all, a part of the yearly plan prepared for the unit. Unlike the yearly plan, as discussed earlier, due focus here is given upon the different units, that is, the different lessons and the components of social science subjects for class 10 and the Central Board of Secondary Education. Let us have a look upon the table number 2 shown in this slide, and this table shows a clear picture of the process of unit plan. Here I have picked up only the geography portion of the social science textbooks published by NCERT under the title Contemporary India 2 for simple unit plan. For the purpose of making a unit plan, what you need to do is to draw a 6-column table like this, which consists of teaching content, knowledge, skill, knowledge application, understanding or comprehension, and the total period. Is included in the latest textbook published by NCERT. I have arranged all the lessons on geography in the first column, and this includes resources and development, forest and wildlife resources, water resources, agriculture, mineral and energy resources, manufacturing industries, and finally transport, communication, and trade. After this, different periods are distributed against its unit or relation in terms of objectives identified and organized in the table provided in this way. Slight variations are made according to the size of the size of the lesions in the distribution of periods. Somewhere we find 7, 5, 10, 7, something like this. Uh, In this model, maximum classes are assigned in the lesson mineral and energy resources. So this comes to 10 periods out of total, 45 periods met available. And the least one is water resources. So this lesson is assigned in 4 periods. Since class 10 is the uppermost limit of secondary school stage, understanding level of students in this stage is considered moderately high. So therefore, highest weightage is given on understanding objective based lessons, and it comes to about 37.78% of all the total periods assigned. And the least one in skill-based relation, and this comes to about 7%. Yes, so you can apply similar formula in unit plan of other components of social sciences. However, distribution of periods for skill-based lessons for other components of social science is not required, except geography, for the latter is heavily dependent upon map work. Yes, another level of lesson planning is nothing but daily lesson plan. So in comparison to the earlier 2 levels of lesson plan, daily lesson plan is considered as the most important level of lesson planning. It is a clearly defined schedule of activities that you plan to implement throughout the classroom day. It is based on the nature, content, size, and objectives of lesson. individual social needs, approaches, methods, techniques, devices, media, and the support services available. So lesson planning can be divided into four different types, which include macro approach, micro approach, written form, and unwritten form. So macro approach is used in the traditional teaching practice where the plan is made for a large class consisting of about 40 to 50 students to be taught within a time period of between 45 to 60 minutes time. Hence, the basis of the lessons unit is larger. Uh, Micro approach, on the other hand, is used to develop various skills and to bring about modification in the behaviors of the students. So it is designed to teach some 5 to 7 students in about 5 to 10 minutes time. And the third type is known as written form. Written form of lesson planning is usually taught to pupil teachers in teacher education institutions. Such planning of lessons are very necessary for beginner teachers. And the last type, unwritten form of lesson planning, is simply the planning of lessons in the mindset of the teachers before entering the class. So this is very popular among the well-experienced in service teachers. So now the question is, what approaches is to be used for planning lessons? Well, quite a large number of approaches have been developed, and among them, Harbesian's five-step approach, Bloom's evaluation approach, Morrison's or unit approach, Regional Institute of Education, Mysore approach, and the 5E model are the most popular ones. Among the different approaches of lesson planning available with us, Harbesian's five-step approach is after all the oldest and the pioneer one. Although many educators criticize it as outdated, it is still found to be very effective, provided the teacher himself is knowledgeable and committed. The five different steps of the Harbesian approach include preparation or introduction, presentation, comparison, association, generalization, and application. However, to make convenient in writing lesson plan, these five steps are further subdivided into 12 sub-steps. Reference. The evaluation approach developed by Professor B.S. Bloom is quite popular, and it gives due emphasis on evaluation of learning experiences, and it thus follows the three steps, which include formulation of educational objectives, providing learning experience, and evaluating learning outcomes. And this approach has six different steps, which include contain or teaching points, objectives and their specification, teaching aids, teachers' activities, students' activities, and evaluation step. Morrison's or Eunice approach, on the other hand, was developed by Professor A.C. Morrison of the University of Chicago and lay greater emphasis on the unit method for the planning of teaching learning activity. But this approach is not so popularly used. However, these approach follow five different steps, and this include exploration, presentation, assimilation, explanation, and recitation. So in case of the RIM approach, in full form, Regional Institute of Education Mysore approach, uh, maximum focus is given on real learning outcomes and follow three different steps, which include input, process, and output. So input step is meant for specification of instructional objectives and entry behavior of the students. And the second step process consists of the communication or interaction process of the classrooms. And third step in the third step there is assessment of real learning outcomes takes place. Yes, it the trainees. Before concluding this lesson, may I take the opportunity to present before you the latest approach available for the planning of lesson, that is nothing but the 5E learning cycle model. So these 5E lesson basically supports inquiry-based instruction, and it allows children to make discoveries and to process new skills in an engaging way. Teachers can also adequately plan power objectives more effectively by using the 5E process. The role of the teacher here is to facilitate and support students as they use prior knowledge to build new knowledge. And this 5E learning cycle model follow five different steps. This include engagement, exploration, explanation, elaboration, and evaluation. Constructivist relations are based on two underlying assumptions. First, constructivists believe all learning is active rather than passive. Secondly, they believe new ideas are best absorbed when they built on existing knowledge. Constructivist teachers guide and inspire students rather than actively instructing them. And the constructivist lessons are to encourage active exploration, discussion, and explanation of existing ideas. So this is about the present lesson being presented before you. So with this, let me say thank you.